Well, happy Monday to you guys. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I know there's a lot of graduations. We had J-Fest. We had Ironman here in Chattanooga. It's just a busy time of the year. Fortunately, we had some great weather today. Tomorrow, we're back on the potential for severe storms, so we're going to need to be weather aware. As we get into your afternoon, we're going to rise from really the 60s to about the mid-80s, similar to what we had yesterday. It's going to be steamy, just a typical May day. We've already had some showers. Again, you can see your timestamp up there, 7:35. So this video obviously recorded Monday morning. So if you're watching later in the day, just know the data might be a little outdated. But we do have some heavy rain moving across parts of LJ, Blue Ridge, Dalton, Calhoun. Again, nothing severe, in a couple downpours near I-40, and then we'll have some more rain throughout the day, but the heaviest stuff going to actually move out here pretty shortly. Again, you can see that rain starting to push out of North Georgia. But here's a look at the overall picture. So essentially we've got this low pressure spinning up into parts of the Dakotas up through Nebraska, some mountain snow in parts of the Rockies. But this cold front is going to dive across the southern plains and eventually arrive here in the Tennessee Valley as we get into Tuesday evening. And today we're kind of going to be in the warm sector of this system. So the warm front's lifting to our north. We're going to have that warm, rich, moist air from the Gulf just coming up. A lot of storm fuel is going to be building throughout the day, and if we can get some sunshine, any storm that develops could quickly become severe a little bit later today. Now, the highest risk for severe weather going to be across parts of Oklahoma, traditional tornado alley essentially, so the plains and parts of the Midwest, but we also have that level 2 out of 5 risk for some of those damaging winds and potentially large hail. So again, highest risk for severe weather to our west, but that area along that front is going to shift to the east, and tomorrow we're going to be dealing with that. So again, let's go ahead and take a look at your Futurecast, kind of breaking all this down. I'll try to be fairly brief. I know you have things to do today. So a couple showers here and there through this morning. I think after lunchtime, probably around 1 o'clock, we'll have more storms starting to fire up here across the Tennessee Valley, some of which could be severe. Again, any of these storms that develop, they're going to have so much storm fuel to work with, it won't take long for them to rise pretty high, become severe, thunder, lightning. I'm talking the potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and some large hail. And then as we continue throughout the afternoon and evening, storms continue to fire up. After sunset, we lose daytime heating. Most of the severe threats can be over. And then overnight, it's just going to be some showers here and there, nothing severe. First part of Tuesday, honestly, is looking pretty good. I don't foresee any major issues. Even through the afternoon, there's not going to be a ton going on. But notice, okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. 5:45, starting to see some of these individual cells developing across Middle Tennessee. That's the model trying to indicate that there's going to be some strong convection and the potential for supercellular storms to develop. When you have these supercells, that's where you have the chance of rotation, of course, tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. So when you start to get these strong individual cells developing, yes, there will be the potential for tornadoes, especially Middle Tennessee, North Alabama, moving into parts of Jackson County, and by 8 o'clock starting to shift over into places like Chattanooga, Dayton, along the Cumberland Plateau. Everything will continue to march to the east as we get into late Tuesday evening. There's your timestamp there, 9:30 Eastern or 8:30 Central. Again, this is all in Eastern time, so if you're in Central, subtract an hour. Then by 10 o'clock, North Georgia's getting hit pretty hard. 11 o'clock still into Murphy, Blue Ridge, LJ. And then things start to wind down pretty quickly after midnight as most of the active weather shifts into parts of the Carolinas. So if you're in Southeast Tennessee, North Georgia, Northeast Alabama, I would be on guard between about 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Probably will be later than that, but that gives us a good window to really start to be a little more cognizant of the weather until midnight. That's Eastern time. 5 o'clock Central to 11 o'clock Central. Because it looks like tomorrow evening is definitely the more concerning look. Again, we're going to have a lot of storm fuel. This is just the available energy that the atmosphere is providing for lift for these storms to develop. So it's going to be very hot in Oklahoma City, Dallas. and that's where you're going to have that moderate risk in place today. But we're going to have a decent amount of storm fuel to work with today. So that's why any of these storms that do pop up, they have a very favorable environment to become severe. That'll continue. And then notice by 10, again, as the sun goes down, we lose some of that storm fuel because the sunshine gives us that solar energy and that daytime heating and that extra little oomph for these storms to fire up. And then as we get into your Tuesday, that front's approaching. On the back side of the front, stable air. On the front side of the front, we're going to have unstable air. Really seeing that atmosphere destabilizing tomorrow right around 5 o'clock. So we're going to have a lot of juice to work with as these storms move through. And then that's gradually going to fizzle out by the time we get into early Wednesday morning. Also, another product we can look at, lightning, hail, and shear. So today, going to be some lightning, maybe a few hail producers, some wind shear starting to show up. So that shows me that there could be some damaging wind gusts later this evening. So we'll have to watch that pretty closely. And then for Tuesday morning, maybe a little bit of lightning overnight. But look at these swaths of shear moving through tomorrow evening. Pretty impressive. So we'll have to watch that pretty closely. I do think the highest threat tomorrow is going to be damaging wind gusts, but there's still going to be that potential for a few tornadoes. So we'll have to watch that, as well as some large hail up to 1 inch in diameter. And then as we continue through the early morning hours on Wednesday, things are going to fizzle out pretty quickly. So today, level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms here locally. Really includes most of our coverage area. Primary concern is going to be damaging wind gusts and large hail. Tornado threat really not there today. Flooding threat minimal, but you get under one of those heavy downpours, you can pick up a quick inch. There could be some low-lying flooding concerns develop a little bit later on. As for tomorrow, that's where we need to pay even closer attention to the weather, especially between about 6 p.m. and midnight. So it's going to be a late day event, but not a totally overnight event, which is the good news. But there is a level 3 out of 5 risk in place from Bowling Green all across Middle Tennessee and North Alabama. Almost our entire coverage area in the level 2 out of 5 slight risk. But again, you don't want to get too caught up in these colors because we've had tornadoes and marginal risk. That happened just a couple Saturdays ago. So just be weather aware and pay close attention to the weather because the atmosphere, again, is going to be primed for severe storms. There will be a tornado threat. This is within a 25-mile radius, a 25-mile radius, so about a 5% chance of a tornado-warned storm. So say Chattanooga is your point. You go 25 miles in any direction, draw a circle, and that's your chance for tornadoes. So it's not overly high, but it is there. Higher chance the further west you go into Middle Tennessee. That's where you get that 10% chance, which includes the Cumberland Plateau. There's also an area of, sorry, totally lost my train of thought. There is a hatched area or an area for the potential of significant tornadoes. So in Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, parts of North Mississippi and Northeast Alabama, you're going to have conditions favorable for tornadoes to potentially become strong, EF2 or greater. I'm not saying that there's going to be a large outbreak of tornadoes, but there certainly will be a few tomorrow. That looks pretty likely, just with the sheared environment and all the storm fuel that we're going to have, among other things that are going to be favorable. So Nashville, Bowling Green, Memphis, Jackson, Huntsville really need to be on high alert. And even parts of the Cumberland Plateau. Again, that includes parts of Grundy and Marion County and Jackson County as well. So just one of those days where we really need to pay attention to the weather because, again, what happened in Kentucky Saturday, well, was it Friday night into early Saturday morning? I mean, over 28 people lost their life across Kentucky, parts of Virginia, all the way into Missouri. So even if there's a small risk of tornadoes, pay attention. I'd rather you guys be over-prepared than under-prepared. Have a way to receive those alerts. Have your storm-safe place or storm shelter ready to go. Have your supplies where you need to be before 5 o'clock tomorrow. That way you're ready, just in case. Because, again, the percent chance of a tornado hitting your house is pretty low. But it happens. And it could happen to you. It could happen to me. It could happen to Jim in Athens. You just never know exactly where a tornado may touch down. What we do know is that the conditions are favorable, and we want you just to be aware. That's the best thing to do. Again, we don't want to overhype these things, but we certainly want to make sure that you guys are ready for any kind of severe weather. That's our job. So just be prepared. Don't be scared. Wind threat, 10% chance of damaging winds within 25-mile radius. I think winds are probably going to be our primary concern. It's going to be a highly sheared environment. We're going to have strong winds, 1,000 feet in the air, 2,000 feet in the air. The low-level jet's going to be ramping up. So, again, any of these storms could have winds 60 to 70 miles per hour, which can cause a lot of damage as well. And damaging winds are sometimes more, if not as dangerous as tornadoes, because you can have the trees falling down on cars, on homes. So if you live in an area with a lot of trees, again, make sure you can get to a safe area where if a tree were to fall, it's not going to fall on top of you. So again, just be weather aware the next couple of days. Rainfall amounts highly variable, but several inches possible. Again, we've almost had 9 inches officially at the Chattanooga airport already this month. The rainiest May on record, 1929, 12 inches. So we're going to get awfully close to that probably after the next 2 days. So we'll see if we can break that record. It does look like it's going to be fairly active. And here's the good news for you guys. After tomorrow evening, these storms move out. The rest of the week is actually looking pretty good. We're actually going to have temperatures coming down as well. So daytime highs here in the valley, mid to upper 70s, maybe even some low 70s, overnight lows in the low 50s. Some of you will drop into the 40s, especially outside of the city in some of our plateau and mountain communities. And the overall trend through the next 8 to 14 days, pretty good shot of cooler than normal conditions. Now by the end of May, our average highs in the mid to upper 80s. So anything in the low 80s, upper 70s would technically be below average. But when you have below normal temperatures towards the end of May, a lot of times that also helps to mitigate the severe risk moving forward. So we'll have to see how those things go hand in hand. But your next 7 days, again, next 2 days, weather alertness is going to be key, but we will get rewarded for that. We'll get some great weather Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so just stay safe, stay alert the next 2 days, and then we could have some additional showers coming in this weekend. And again, we'll have updates and we'll have a full team to get you through these storms. We'll have our Facebook stream going on. Hannah will be in at lunchtime, and David will be in later this evening with the latest updates. So stay aware and have a good day.